Well, moving on to Somalia now, the country has unveiled a new container terminal at the Mogadishu Port, and that move marks a major milestone and significantly increases the country's cargo handling capacity. Now, the ceremony was led by the Minister of Ports and Marine Transport, Abdul Kader Mohamed Noor, along with the port's General Manager, Mohamed Ali Noor Americo. The expansion raises the port's annual throughput output from 150,000 to 250,000 20-foot equivalent units, and that positions it to better serve the country's growing trade needs. In addition to opening the new terminal, the officials also broke ground on a new headquarters for the harbour. The facility is expected to serve as a central hub for administrative and also operational functions, with an aim to strengthen coordination and governance at Somalia's busiest seaport. Now, earlier I spoke with James Shikwati. He's the founder and director of the Inter-Region Economic Network, of what these developments mean for Somalia and the region.
Yeah, first of all, we have to congratulate Somalia for attaining that possibility of upgrading their port possibility by close to 100,000 tera units. And the reason for applauding them is that there's this bigger vision that Africa is having to achieve what we call the Africa Continental Free Trade Area. And having port facilities across the coastal parts of Africa is part of a major milestone that the continent requires. But of course, within the East African context, one would say that it's a competition emerging for all the players such as Mombasa and Dar es Salaam. But when you look at it from the bigger continental vision, this is a very welcome announcement.
Right. Well, what opportunities then does it pose for the country in terms of its economy, in terms of growth, in terms of its maritime sector, just as for Somalia alone?
Now, when it comes to ports, they're like gates. When you open the gate to a city, the movement moves. People, products move across different parts of the city. So for now, of course, the focus is on Somali and also the gains that the country wants to have in terms of offering jobs to the young people and making sure they are well skilled and making sure that the economy earns from port-related activities. But when it comes to the aspect of the gate, it means that other neighboring countries that have been relying on Kenya, Mombasa, Tanzania, and Dar es Salaam, they will be looking at these developments as a positive alternative, because you don't want just to rely on one gate for exporting your products or for importing your products as well.
Now, of course, you've touched on this and you mentioned the AFCFTA earlier, but I'd like to delve further into the opportunities that this poses. What opportunities does an increase in capacity, for example, present for regional integration, overall cooperation as well in the transport sector?
Yeah, I think the opportunities are immense, especially when you consider what we refer to as the landlocked countries. Specifically Ethiopia, which is one of the largest economies with over 100 million people, has been relying mostly on ports from Djibouti and to some extent Kenya. So having a port that reduces the distance between, of course, the ocean and Ethiopia makes it a very positive development for Ethiopia in particular, but also for the other, landlocked countries such as South Sudan, Uganda, Rwanda, Burundi, DRC Congo. So the opportunities are not just for Somaliland, but it gives these possibilities for the landlocked countries as well.
And does this deal signal that the government is making progress, not just in terms of supporting the country's economic recovery, but also that constant threat of insurgency in that region?
Well, I would say that by, first of all, successfully persuading investors to come to Somalia and be able to put up such a port, it shows confidence that other countries are looking at the region as a region that has a stable possibility for the future. Secondly, we have to look at it in the context of also what I'll call geopolitical competition. Right now, geopolitically, we know that emerging economies are pushing harder to have a bigger play and say in matters global trade. And you'll notice for Somalia here, we're looking at mostly Middle Eastern countries that are also trying to position themselves to be major actors in the Eastern coastal strip, which is on the Indian Ocean. So it's not just about the country security and stability. There's also the message that is going out to other bigger players that the emerging economies, or what you'll call the middle emerging economies, also want to have a greater say in matters global trade.